Welcome back, beautiful people. How we all doing today? For those of you that are new to this channel, this is Skelly by Nature. I am Skelly, and I am going to be showing you guys my new recipe that I've been using to make cherry cough drops. I've already shown you guys how to do my lemon drop one. I've already shown you guys how I did my honey drop one. So we're going to do the cherry one since we are in the season again of flu season. And these are, again, a cough drop that is purely natural. It has the different things that we need to help fight against flu and cold season. So let's get down to it. I'll show you guys what we need. I will give you a heads up. What you're going to want to do is make sure you have everything available. I don't know if you've ever made candy before. If not, one thing about making candy is it's very attentive. You need to be aware and know what's going on at all times because things work very quickly. So make sure you have everything that we need, everything ready, and I'll show you what we need to do. So let me get set up in front of the stove and I'll show you how to make my wonderful cherry drops. Okay, so for the ingredients that what we're going to need today to make this is we're going to need a half a cup of sugar. I got 3 tablespoons of honey. Now the honey's going to help with soothing the throat. I also have 2 tablespoons. You can use either the juice from a jar of cherries, or I'm using a cherry oil. So you're going to want 2 tablespoons of that. The cherry is what's going to give us that vitamin C to help boost our immune system. I've got about 2 tablespoons of dried up, ground up horehound. Now this is optional if you want to add it. You don't need to. The idea of horehound is really great for breaking down the mucus. So it breaks down the mucus that causes the congestion in our noses as well as in our lungs, and when you break down that congestion, you're allowing our bodies to remove that. And it's the mucus is what the flu and viruses and germs get into, and that's where they really start to grow and get worse. So you don't need to add the horehound. It's something that I have readily available. So if you are local to me or close to me or would like some, hit me up, and I've got plenty for you guys to try. And also what we're going to need is I have 2 tablespoons of water. We're going to need some molds of some type like this. I'm using silicone molds. You can use whatever candy molds you want. I like to use the silicone ones. We're going to need a candy thermometer. As you see, I've got my nice candy thermometer like this. You can use a cheaper one, the cheaper glass ones. The only thing I am going to fair warn you about is that's what I used to use back in the day, and I loved it. And then one day I was doing a recipe, and the thing exploded right into my recipe, so I had to throw the whole thing out. So just keep that in mind. They do work, the cheaper glass ones. I just feel a little safer with the metal one because there's really not much to break. So then I also have a soup spoon. We're going to need ourselves a nice pot. And so now we're set up and we've got everything we need. And I've got a bowl of confectionery sugar. So the first thing I'm going to do, even before I get started, is I want to get my molds set and ready so that way when it's done I'm not running around looking for a mold, because once the candy's done you have limited time to pour it before it starts hardening. So like I said, this is why you want everything available right away. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my candy mold, and I'm going to go and sprinkle a little of the powdered sugar on the insides. And the reason I'm doing this is just so that they don't stick to the molding itself. So I'm just going to throw it in there, and I'm just kind of spreading it around my fingers. Okay, so as you can see, I have my moldings. They get a nice little coating of the confectionery sugar. Now this is going to, like I said, do two things for you. One, it's going to allow when we put our candy in here, they're not going to stick so much to the molding, as well as it's going to put a little coating on the candy so that when we do remove it, they don't all stick together either. As you see, I have some leftover, so I'm going to take the confectionery sugar that's left over. I'm just going to put it to the side for now. We will be using that later on when we remove our candies. The next step I'll show you when we get to that point. So now we're ready to start our cooking and making of the candies. So again, we're going to want to have everything ready and available to go. So I've got all my stuff sitting right here. And so we're going to turn our stove on. I like to set my stove to about medium. Again, don't go cranking your heat up. You're a lot better. It's a lot better to add a little heat if needed later on, if needed. But the one thing you don't want to do is do it at a heavy temperature, and then you're going to end up either burning or things are going to get hot really quick. So we're going to take our 2 cups of sugar. We're going to pour that inside. We're going to take our 3 tablespoons of honey. We're going to pour that inside. Now, I'm using a local honey. I mean, you can use any honey you want, but your best bet is a local honey, and partly because local bees do tend to feed on the plants that we're local to, which a lot of times is what, we tend to be allergic to. So that's why I like to use a local honey. I'm lucky I get a sister and brother-in-law who like to play with bees. So they give me plenty of beautiful, wonderful honey. So then I'm going to go pour in the cherry juice. Pour that right in. Then I'm going to take the horehound, sprinkle some of the horehound in. I'm putting that in there as well. And then we have our 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. We're going to give this a minute. We're going to let that sugar melt down. Okay, so one thing that I did forget to do again, that I'm one that I like to try to keep my stove clean. So I'm going to take some parchment paper because when you do start pouring the candy, you can make a mess. So it's either make a mess on some parchment paper or make a mess on your stove. I choose parchment paper because the candy can be a pain in the neck sometimes to clean. So I'm just going to put parchment paper down underneath my moldings now that everything's cleared. And so now we get the sugar starting to break down. And so I'm going to sit here and stir in everything, get it all mixed up. Okay, so as you see, you can see it's steaming, and it right now I'm at a boiling state. It's bubbling, and this is where it's really important to keep on stirring. You want to just keep on stirring this. You really don't want the candy to settle. I find you just got to keep stirring. Okay, So we hit the first mark that we're looking to hit, and that's that 140 mark. Now, if you want to do a soft candy, then this is when you would pull it out and start doing your pour, and pour into your molds. If you want a hard candy, then what we need to do is get to the crack, what we call the hard crack point, which is about 150. So I am just about there. So I'm just going to give this a good stir. I'm going to pop this out. My candy thermometer. I'm putting that down. I'm going to shut off my burner. I'm going to give this a good stir. Now, once we start doing this, you just got to keep going, and that's why you'll see I've got more moldings set and ready to go than I'll probably need. Always have more ready. It's easier to just clean them than to be running around like a crazy person trying to get them. So here I go. I'm going to start putting them in my molding. Okay, because now you can see I have my candies all poured, and they're in my little trays. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let these sit for a little bit, let them slightly harden up. Then once they have a little bit of stiffness to them, I'm going to take these and transfer these to my refrigerator, and I'm going to let them sit in my fridge for a few hours. Okay, so we're back. It's been a couple hours now, and as you can see, my candies have hardened up. So now we're ready for the next step. So what we just got to do is take our molds. We're going to flip them over. We're just going to pop out our candies just like so. So now, for the final step, what we're going to do is you're going to need a baggie of some sort, or a bowl, or you can put them in a bowl. I like a baggie. I'm going to take my baggie, throw a little more of the confectionery sugar. I'm going to throw a couple in. I like to throw a couple in first. Get it mixed up. Get them coated. Now we're using the confectionery sugar because this is going to help them from sticking together. Adds another little flavor to them as well. And there we go. Some nice, beautiful candies that will help us stay healthy, as well as nutrition. So I hope you all had a good time watching the video. I hope you learned a little bit of something. I hope to see you all in the next video.